Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is amazing that, I will say this, though, and we're going to get to Mr. Murray Miskow. I thank y'all for being a part of this panel. You actually work in industries and not discuss other industries, and I always think that the greatest thing about these panels, no offense to my legal experts and my think tanks, you're actually hiring people, giving people jobs, doing those kind of things that actually are being affected up here in Washington, and being a part of this panel makes great sense. The thing that just, and I've sat up here for just a few moments, and again, Mr. Bivens, probably the most, and I'm not saying dishonest or truthful, but the truthful thing you said just a moment ago was the shuffling of jobs. That one may have a problem and where it does. You know where that greatest impact is shown? Is in Washington, D.C. We have been wonderful at creating jobs in Washington, D.C. We've been wonderful at creating regulatory impact jobs in Washington, D.C. We have not been very good. I mean, when you have, I'm just name some things here because, Mr. Chairman, I couldn't think of a better. I've got banks that are being regulated by more regulators than the bank has employees, and the regulators get mad because they don't have someplace to sit down. Mr. Wiseman, you just said the silica rule. I was in environmental monitoring before. You know what one of the problems with the silica rule is? They can't get honest measurements. They can't determine actual levels. You go to the granite industry in my district, and you actually go into one of these facilities where they're already using protective devices and try and measure ambient silicate. I mean, it sounds great. You are going to save so many other people. It sounds wonderful, but yet the practicality is almost impossible to read. You get into phosphate readings in Lake Lanier in northeast Georgia, in which the phosphate levels taken from the sample are too small to be accurately counted, but yet the cities and counties are required to meet a level in which the federal government can't even verify. We talk about issues when it comes to the position of saying regulations help. There's nobody in this room, and this is where the straw man arguments often come out in this, that Republicans don't like regulations. We want unsafe air. We want to drink dirty water. We want to do this. That's ridiculous. What is unfair to the American people is to come up with rules and regulations and say, well, they don't affect people. I've got an industry in my district, Ring, which is a nonprofit. They're wanting to expand and wanting to do, but they got caught with a 50 full-time equivalent issue. Now, we can say that, that regulations don't affect jobs, but they can't afford to grow because of these regulations that have been put on them. I have every night that I'm thankfully home, I get to sleep with and have a great relationship with a wife who is a teacher. I am tired of hearing my wife for 26 years. Because one of the things that we talk about in jobs in this committee and regulatory in this committee is we need an educated workforce. But yet we have an ever-expanding Department of Education up here, of many of which have never been in a classroom. Banking regulators who've never made a loan. Telling the rest of the world how to make a loan. That is just ludicrous. Educators sitting in a cubicle saying, here's how you teach kids, and have never taught in a classroom. It's not the fact if regulation matters. It's the fact of Washington on steroids thinking we know better than everywhere else. If you want to help industry, if you want to help manufacturers I have yet to walk into a factory in which the general manager says, Doug, watch today, we're going to maim 3 people. Doug, I want you to watch this. We're hiding the ball, and we want to see people's fingers cut off today. It's fabulous. Watch it. When you have OSHA, which lives off its own fine system, hiring regulators, increasing the fine schedule, and going in, and this is what they do. They fine first instead of showing businesses, here's a better way, here's how you can fix the problem. Never seen that in your industries, I bet. But instead, it is because they have to keep their job. They're better than used car salesmen. OSHA inspectors have to write up and have to get fines, and then they settle the fines. If that is the regulatory environment that this country wants, then we're headed straight for disaster. So to say silicate's going to save all these lives, Mr. Wiseman, show me how you're going to measure that in the ambient air. Show me how that's actually going to save people. I believe several things. I believe you eat right, you exercise daily, you follow your doctor's instructions, you die anyway. There are some things in life that are just attributable to living. And to say we're going to save so many people by something that you honestly can't measure is a disingenuous remark to a country that is struggling for jobs and education. Mr. Bivens, you said it right. Regulations help some areas, and they hurt others. My problem is they hurt these people on this end who are actually trying to give people jobs, and they help people up here who've never done the jobs. I don't have any questions, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.